What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Phan.
And my name is Sunset.
There we go, there we go. We are here to show you the best EXP farm for your archetype in Remnant 2.
This is true. Now, I'll admit, it's a little bit of a convoluted system, and there are different tiers to how it's done. Now, typically, you can do this on the easiest difficulty, and that would be totally fine. But due to authenticity of showing you genuinely the best way to farm XP, we are going to be using on the hardest difficulty. And
Yes.
that's because on the hardest difficulty, you gain a lot more XP.
Graph on screen will show you how much XP you get based on the difficulty.
And along with that, we will admit that there's a little bit of a tedious process to get through it. First, and this is just the way that I like to do it, you have to get it's the ritualist archetype, correct?
Ritualist.
You have to get the ritualist archetype from the DLC in The Forgotten King. Wait,
Yeah, the Forgotten
the
King.
Awake.
The Awakened King. The Awakened King.
So you're going to have to go to the Losman DLC, I think is the easier way to say it, and gain the Ritualist Archetype. You can get this through whatever method is being shown on screen now, but once you get it, you're going to want to level it up to level 5 at the bare minimum. Now, leveling up more is good, but for what we have now, we just need the spell itself, because it's one of the highest damaging spells outright in the game.
And it covers a wide area. So for you to do this, you're going to need a couple of things. First things first, head over to Mudtooth and purchase some of his tonic. If you started the game new and fresh, you'll get 2 of them off the bat. I'd like to see where's. So you want, Mudtooth's elixir, that increases your EXP gains by 15%.
Be sure to come
If you have
back
progressed
for some
far enough
stew.
into the game, you'll also will want this trait called Scholar. Just upgrade that a bit. Commit to the changes. Perfect. After acquiring Scholar, if you do end up having the ring called Sage Stone, it'd be very beneficial for you to equip it. Let me find it right here. Sage Stone increases your experience by 10%. So with Mudtooth's Elixir, which gives 15, plus maxed out Scholar, which would give, I believe, 20. Let's see here. It gives 15% on maxed out Scholar. You would get a whopping 30% from Scholar plus Mudtooth, increased by 10%, which will be a whopping 40%, on top of getting 50% bonus XP on the hardest difficulty in Remnant 2.
And we both know that is a lot of fucking numbers, and we understand. So we're going to put all that up on screen just to make sure it's extra visible. Because when we're talking about the most optimal XP farm, we are talking about the most optimal XP farm. It gets a little tedious to grind, but you really only need those 2 things and the spell. Now, there are ways to optimize the spell, like my personal set. So for the armor, it does not really matter. All of it does not really affect your gear, so that's perfectly fine. Same goes for the relic, though if you really want to, you can add in the, what's it called? Is it the modifier? Whatever
Or
the, let me look.
It's a
Yeah, whatever relic. You can put in whatever relic you want into the Void Heart or Dragon Hearts. Typically, you want to go for skill damage or skill duration, because those both positively impact the ritualist skill that is being upgraded. And with that, the ritualist skill is almost pure elements. Its skill listing is named Miasma. You cast an AoE burst that applies bleeding, burning, overloaded, and corroded to all enemies within 22.5 meters. The spot we are going to has a bunch of people all next to the World Stone in a secret hidden area. Now, this hidden area is very easy to obtain, and yes, you can just go in there, shoot everything, and go back out. But what this skill does, when you pop it, everyone in that secret area dies with all of the damage. But the higher the difficulty, the more HP that those guys will have. So I made a build specifically around maximizing the damage from that one specific spell. Now, the first one I have is my amulet. It is called Ravager's Mark. What happens is, it increases all the damage being dealt to bleeding targets by 20%. It increases to 30% when they are at 50% health or lower. Because miasma applies bleeding to everyone, not only are you getting that 20% buff, but you are going to get the execute bonus of 10% when they are at half health. The second one I have is the Alumni Ring. It increases all elemental damage by 10%. Now, this is my shock, this is my burning, this is my bleed. This is everything that that spell is doing, 10% more damage. The next one I have is Acid Stone. Now, there are 3 rings that just do elemental-based buffing. There's the Acid, there's the Shock, there's the Firestone. All 3 of these, fundamentally the same. Just pick one of them. You can get them from Ward 13 for really cheap, but it just increases one type of damage by 15% more. The next one I have is Timekeeper's Jewel. It increases the duration of all special status effects applied by the wearer. So essentially, all the spells that you just had, now they are doing more. They are going longer, they are doing all of that. So whether or not it's increasing the damage explicitly, your spell will not show you. But because it lasts longer, it does more inherent damage. The last ring I have is called the Red Ring of Death. It duplicates the last damaging negative stats effect applied to the target, but reduces the effect's damage by 10%. Now, you may hear, oh, it does less damage, that's not very good. But because it doubles one of the most recent negative stats effects, you end up doing more over time than you would naturally, so it's just really good. And on to the traits. Amplitude's the most important one because it increases AoE size and aura range. That just makes your hex way larger than it naturally is. Every other trait does not need to be leveled up, like, really at all. Amplitude is really the only one that matters for this build and for this fight. So long as you can hit everyone, that's all that matters.
So, let us get started. First things first, you're going to want to teleport over to Naru. There is going to be a boss fight that's going to prevent you from being at a specific area within Naru. Since we are playing on the hardest difficulty, Apocalypse, getting past that boss fight, I would recommend playing with a friend. The area that you want to be in is the extraction hub, right in the dead center of the second largest accessible area of Naru. Make sure that when you create the adventure mode, or if you're playing in campaign, I don't know why you would, but adventure mode is where it's at, make sure you spawn at Seeker's Rest when creating the level. If it is Forgotten Prison, you're going to want to re-roll the adventure mode until you find Seeker's Rest. Once you get past, we had to go through the hatchery, it might be different for you guys, but once you get past this general area, you'll be at Timeless Horizon, rush to the center of it to get to the extraction hub, and then travel all the way over to the extraction hub. Alright, as you can see, we have made it over to the extraction zone. Now, Sunset, if you would please.
I got you.
As you can see here, the ritualist is causing damage in the neighboring area, inflicting pain to a lot of people. What ends up happening is the EXP starts jumping up bit by bit, as you can see on my screen. Caused me to level up my Archon to 4 in this exact moment. And all we have to do is interact with the World Stone, and all enemies will respawn, allowing him to do it yet again. All enemies will be dying, and you can see the EXP come in as they die. Ugh.
And just be sure when at this point, Mudtooth's Elixir, you want to be using this.
Oh, shit.
Get the XP, you want the Sage Stone, everything you can just to get more XP.
Let's see here, where's Mudtooth's Elixir? Yep. drink this, lasts an hour.
Such a W exploit.
I know, right? And one last thing. Make sure, if you want to get the most amount of experience for one archetype, have one maxed out. That way you can level up the archetype that you would prefer way faster. So right here I have 2 unleveled archetypes, so the EXP is being cut in half, which is unfortunate for me. If I switch out of Handler and go for top tier Gunslinger, I will get way more experience for my Archon.
But that's of course saying that you have the same setup as me and Phan both have here, with me being the ritualist and him being the gunslinger. One person needs to have this trait up to level 5 and at bare minimum equipped, just for any progress.
Woo! You see that? You see how fast it's moving? Oh, I'm gonna zoom in on all of that.
I think I got like 4,000 off that one.
Right? I'm gonna look at this. Observe. Was that it?
Must have been a smaller one, yeah.
Damn. But trust, guys, it's a great farm.
I mean, it requires setup, but it really is probably the easiest way to do it.
But it's really hard to get to if you want to get the most amount of experience.
Yeah, you gotta kill one boss, and that boss is going to be a challenge. But this farm more or less implies that you've already gotten where you need to be. You've beat the game, you have essentially all of the archetypes, and you just want to level them up. You don't want to grind through beating endless waves of minions, but you really just want to essentially test your might and do the best you can with what little time you have. We're going for optimization rather than utilization. Alright, I am level 8. I'm so close.
I think I got 1k XP from that.
Oh,
never mind. Yeah, I got a lot. Oh my god.
They're still dying, my boy.
So we've been wasting time?
No, I think you gain XP off of their death.
Yeah.
So it's more like we just have to wait until I stop seeing the random colors on my screen.
Understood. Everyone's just looking at nothing, and they just think I'm cheating.
It's just so turn your brain off.
It's so free. Huh.
Yeah, it looks weird.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the EXP farm. If you like this video, feel free to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. The support would be very, very helpful. With that being said, my name is Phan.
And my name is Sunset.
Alright. And we guys will see you in the next video. Later. Ugh.